This episode of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast is driven by Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy. CGA is the world's most comprehensive online gun dog training resource. They've got over 160 instructional videos that includes everything that you need to take a 7-week-old puppy to a finished gun dog. Visit cornerstonegunDogAcademy.com, sign up for the free preview module, and begin your training journey today. Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy, the most advanced gun dog training resource on the web. You are listening to the HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast, episode 161. This week on the show, we're digging back into the old mailbag and we're fielding more listener questions. All right, welcome to episode 161 of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast. We're your on-demand audio source for all things waterfowl and waterfowl hunting. I'm your host, Josh Palm. You can check us out at hpoutdoors.com. Across all the social media platforms out there, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can also find us across all the quality podcast directories out there, iTunes, Spotify, all the good ones. You can find our show. This week brought to you by Quack Rack. Quack Rack is a premium decoy and gear hauling solution for your UTV or boat. It's 100% American made. Front racks, roof baskets, and rear racks. Follow Quack Rack on Facebook and Instagram and check out their hashtag Haul More, Shoot More. Visit quackrack.com today. Joining me this week, as he always does, co-host Dan Hrushka. Dan, what's up, brother?
Just seeing online, a lot of people are just starting to open up their duck season, and we are getting cold fronts across the nation. So, it's fun following people, seeing a lot of people putting some good hunts together, and a lot of guys getting out there for the first or second time and shooting their first duck. So a lot of good stuff happening. We're in, later November, and it's just weird to think about PA. And, we have a couple, 2.5 weeks left before our split, and then a 5-day little split to end our season. And it's really all we have left here, which is crazy.
Yeah, you guys definitely are positioned to take more advantage of October than a lot of other places, but
yep.
Not ideal always, but what is ideal is a gunner kennel. They're engineered for your dog, designed for travel, and built for your peace of mind. The G1 kennel has set a new industry standard and put Gunner in a category all its own. They were started to protect your pet. It continues to be at the center of everything that they do, and they're dedicated to building the best and safest pet travel crate on the market because man's best friend deserves man's best kennel. Check out their G1 series of kennels and accessories at gunnerkennels.com. Also, supporting the show this week, Dunn's Sporting Goods. Dunn's is a family-owned, operated business with 2 locations, Peabody, Missouri, and Marion, Illinois. They've got over 60 years dedicated to providing the outdoorsman with the best deals on hunting and fishing gear. Check out their selection at shopduns.com, as well as on Facebook and Instagram at shopduns for weekly specials and giveaways. Also, 737 duck and goose calls, original design, select grade components, superior sound, and unparalleled service. 737 takes exceptional pride in producing the finest quality, best built premium calls in the market today. They're made right here in America, and they're offered only direct to consumers through their website. Shipping in the U.S. is always free, and international orders are now accepted online. 20-day money-back guarantee and lifetime warranty accompanies every call purchased. 737 duck calls lead the flock. Also, thank you to Duck Camp. Duck Camp makes high-quality hunting apparel in their own camouflage patterns and premium fabrics. They're shaking up the industry with a more modern take on hunting apparel. They make nice lightweight, midweight, and heavyweight shirts that are perfect for the blind, back at camp, or out in town. We've had a chance to check out and test out a bunch of their pieces. Super impressed. Love the 3-layer ultralight rain jacket. It breathes well, packs down small, fits in its own pocket, but is large enough to be layered under during cold hunts as well. Fits perfectly in your blind bag. Really awesome solution. Check that jacket out, as well as all the other great things that they got going on over at duckcamp.com. All right, Dan, this week we are diving back into the mailbag. It seems like the questions that we get kind of ebb and flow, right? Like we get a lot. It seems like we get a lot of it a lot at one time, and then Like there's periods of time where it's less, and it's more like people talking about success stories and things like that. But we had a little influx in questions, so we thought it might be a good time to open up the old mailbag and share a lot of those, because a lot of guys share similar questions or have had similar questions in the past, and it's always good to kind of discuss those out in the open. And our Facebook group's really good about this too. If you're a Facebook user, you can head over to the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast listeners group. Get in there. Guys are dialoguing all the time, asking questions. Even if you're a new hunter and you ask what would be, perceived as an amateur question or a stupid question, their words, not mine, and some other places on the internet, you're not going to get hijacked and destroyed and all that kind of stuff in our group. We don't allow that to take place. So it's a good spot to go and ask questions, learn a lot. So if you haven't had a chance to go over there and check that out, make sure you do. But what do we get into this week with these questions here, Dan? You're kind of sandbagging me just a little bit.
I am. I sandbagged you a lot this week. Let me start by saying we have hats back in stock on the website. So if you want to go check that out, hpoutdoors.com. And looking at a few other things getting on there too. But I wanted to talk about what I was supposed to be doing tomorrow. Was going up to Erie, hunting Presque Isle, and getting in with some of his Host a Hero veterans hunt. And it turns out that I think there were a couple more vets that ended up going, and the blinds were too small. I didn't feel like taking my recording gear and camera gear in and out of the blind multiple times to get recording with people. So I think I'm just going to hunt local and take my daughter out in the morning. So kind of bummed about it, but I'm still getting a chance to take one of the kiddos out. So it should be a good morning. See if we can get our 2 mallard limit, and she'd be super happy if that happens. So trying to keep her warm for a little bit. It'll be a quick to the edge of the lake kind of hunt, and we'll see what we can get done.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you will. One will be banded. It's kind of the way it works for you.
It happens.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. So, like you kind of alluded to, I pulled the questions out of the group and / emails, and I'm gonna kind of run with it and ask you, and then we can chat about it.
Okay.
Alrighty. So, starting with this one, it stuck out because you get in this type of environment more than I do, but and I'm gonna kind of make it my own question. But anyway,
here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Like, not only do you sandbag me, you're starting to like throw curveballs and stuff.
I am, but they're I'm gonna generalize it because some of the stuff you haven't had out there, I know you haven't had it out there. So, dealing with brine water or salt water, what have you found that you need to take extra care of or make sure does not get really sunk in the water?
Fair question. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that I've had, because I don't have a boat, right, that really requires care. But if you had like an engine that you're running in salt water or really strong brackish water, you'd want to make sure that you don't let the salt corrode that kind of stuff. But the biggest thing for me that I've had an impact on is one, spinning wing decoys. I mean, I guess all water is probably not good for the ones that aren't water sealed, but I've had them like one time in and it just done, right?
Yeah.
So I've had that happen, unfortunately. And then I haven't had any issue with it because I do kind of pay attention to it the best I can. But also, keeping that kind of stuff off of your gun, depending on what kind of, what kind of finish you have on that gun. It would be more susceptible to rusting and things like that. And it can happen pretty quickly if you don't take care of it after the hunt, where that kind of stuff. So those are a couple things. Honestly, like the areas that I hunt where it's tidal and it's brackish and that kind of stuff, the gear that takes the most beating for me is not necessarily because of water, salt level content or whatever, but it's because those areas are tidal and it's often very, very muddy and soft bottom, my waders tend to just take a beating in those because I'm really stressing them as I'm walking, and my feet are getting stuck and I'm like pulling through things and you're in and out of the canoe trying to there's been times when the water gets so low that I would basically be in the canoe, one leg on my sort of like on my knee in the canoe, holding the yoke with my other leg over the side of the canoe, kind of like using my leg as an oar, more or less, of just like sticking my foot into the mud and pushing myself across the mud and skim of water. And I actually found that I could make pretty good progress with two guys in the canoe doing that in almost no water. It's a pretty effective technique, actually. But that kind of abrasive stuff on your waders in that crotch area and things can be, it definitely causes havoc and stresses that gear. So I would say those are the things that have taken, take the most beating and kind of need to stand up to the most rigor in the environments that I hunt like that.
Do you take any extra precautions for ammo?
None.
Okay. And have you had the Sitka waders out in it and any issues with the zipper on said waders?
Haven't had the Sitka waders in those conditions. No.
Gotcha.
So I can't speak to it. Although
you did get the zip waders, right?
I did. I don't think that the zipper would have any bearing. It would have no. It wouldn't have a negative impact on that. I don't believe.
Do you take any precautions as far as hosing stuff off when you get out of salt or brackish water?
No. I mean, I just no.
Okay.
I don't. I mean, but again, where I hunt is not super brackish. It's not that far from the freshwater point of the falls. It's not highly concentrated. If I was hunting closer down to the bay and stuff like that, maybe I would be more careful about it if I was driving an outboard motor, though, where it's running that water through the engine compartment.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to flush that with some fresh water, I would think.
Yep. Good call. All right, so that wasn't a bad one. Let's move on.
Let's.
Field hunting and Carhartt bibs.
Oh, this is a good one. I remember seeing this. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you recommend that, or would you go with something else?
Yeah. So, like a lot of people, I started out wearing Carhartt bibs in the field, not only for goose hunting, but I wore them when I would rifle deer hunt in Pennsylvania growing up. I mean, Carhartt was like a staple, right? And I mean, as far as durability, you can't. I mean, it's hard to argue it's worth, right? I mean, that stuff is very durable and will take a beating and will last a long time. And I mean, it does help with warmth, right? I mean, especially if you got a quilted pair with the liner on the inside.
Yeah, the insulated bibs are pretty legit.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I ended up going with. And, the warmth on those is quality. It cuts wind well. I mean, there's a lot of things to like about Carhartt. Where Carhartt struggles, in my opinion, is when you're in snow, as an example, and you get into a layout blind, and just that little bit of body heat that you create inside the blind melts that snow and stuff, those bibs get wet and just hold water, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a little uncomfortable for me. They're more likely to freeze solid for that reason if it's very, cold, and the mobility gets limited because they're frozen in place kind of thing. And I guess all pants to some extent would be susceptible to that. But and they're a lot bulkier, right? So as you're moving around the field, setting decoys and things, I've found that I'm more likely to sweat and hence be cold from that sweat after I'm done if I've got my Carhartts on, compared to what I wear now, which is more of a lighter outer layer bib with appropriate layers underneath. But yeah, for me, it was the moisture management of just the elements and just that your legs getting wet, essentially.
I agree. And I remember having this conversation with you when Sitka came out with their Pantano bibs. And we were both talking about, I was like, there's no way I'm going to spend that much money to walk through cut corn and have them absolutely shredded. I did not believe that the durability would hold up, and I was totally wrong about that. But same thing same thing with you. Like the Carhartts are great if it's not freezing cold or if you have that snow that packs onto them, because the snow does stick to your legs. Um, or if it's rainy or like a wet field, because once they get wet, man, they're a heavy wet,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not it
Yep.
it can become very uncomfortable, especially if it's very cold. So,
But
um,
I would say for a lot of people, particularly if you're budget minded, Carhartt's a great option. Though I mean, the benefits outweigh the drawbacks in totality, but
mhm.
it's not in my opinion um, the closest thing to the perfect solution.
Yeah.
If there is such a thing, I think there's something there is better than that, but it's a really good option.
Yeah. And the thing is, even if you are wearing those, if it's dry, they do have the side zip where you can unzip it if you're walking around. If they are
Yep.
quilted and you're starting to get warmed up, open those puppies up, let your legs breathe. Don't get the sweat inside, because that's what will end up hurting you.
One thing I think that's underrated about Carhartt bibs, in my opinion, I've always really liked the pocket layout. And maybe that sounds kind of dumb and you don't really think about it with those, but you know, pockets are ideally placed for me, right? For hand warmth on how I like to chill. But I've always liked the layout of those chest pockets on the upper portion of the bib.
Hmm.
I can remember specifically, like deer hunting back in the day, I'd have like my radio in there and like some other stuff. But when
Chapstick.
yeah, I mean, whatever it is that those little items that you're keeping in there. I just always felt that it was well organized and was easy to work out of, right? Sometimes you get like garments that have just a billion pockets, and it's almost prohibitive to being able to like use it efficiently. I thought it was always nicely done on the layout of that
Yeah.
component.
I like the how close they come together in the back and how high it is, because it leaves you very mobile in your arms and swinging a gun as well. So there's a lot of positives on the Carhartts.
Yeah, for sure,
The
no
only
doubt.
thing is just moisture management.
Yep,
So
yep.
be on lookout there.
Hmm.
That was a good one. I like that one. um, let's see here. Canoe versus kayak.
What's my preference?
Yeah.
Canoe, 1,000,000 times over. Do you want me to
Okay.
expound? I mean,
Okay, moving on.
for obvious reasons. I think they're safer overall. At least more modern canoes are, right? I mean, we're not talking like the skinny Coleman like one back in the day. Like I'm talking some of these old town styles, sports pile things like that that are wider, can handle. They can handle more weight. They
Mhm.
can handle, in my opinion, like more flexible motor options. Like if you want to actually put a trolling motor on the side of it or something, like there's a lot of availability for that. Um, I think that it gives you more cargo space, so you're less likely to overload the vessel with more than what it can hold and put yourself in danger. Um, the drawbacks of the canoe is it's probably not going to track quite as well. In most cases, it'll be slower, things like that. But those are trade offs of worth for me. I just yeah, I know a lot of people hunt out of kayaks and they do it successfully. For me, it's just not for me. To me, it's just
Yeah.
it's just not a style that I'm super comfortable with.
You're a big guy too, so that could cause topping issues, right? And I think a lot of that goes back to how you hunt, because there's a lot of guys that have spots that can take a kayak with 4 or 5 decoys and be in a perfect setup. So, um, and the same would go for a kayak to a canoe and a canoe to a small John boat. Like if it's something that you can throw a motor on and you're safe going across where you need to get to, then I guess it all just depends whatever fits your fancy, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, there's a lot that goes into that. What do you have room to store at your house? How do you transport it? Does it got to go in the back of your in the back of your truck? Does it got to go up on top of your truck or car? How do you move it around? Do you have trailers set up for it? And then, how close can you get to the water with it? Can you dump it right in the water where you park, or do you got to, port it up through the 2-track for a quarter mile, or whatever it is? A lot of that stuff weighs into what's best, but as far as on the water, and for me, it just feels safer. I mean, like I said, I've used a Sports Pal for a long time. Use the Old Town as well. Super stable. Way more confidence in that than I am on anything that's in the kayak platform. And kayak guys will tell me they're super stable and all that kind of stuff. And if you spend a lot of time on it, I'm sure that's the truth. But I just think that all things being equal, you're less likely to flop out of a canoe that's 14 feet and wider and is rated for 600 pounds than a kayak.
Right. No, I like it. Good answer. All right, I'm going to read this one direct from the group, and we can take it from what we have seen on guided hunts and how you would feel as another paying client and seeing this go on, and your thoughts about it, just for conversation piece.
Sounds like that's a trigger warning.
No, not so much, because it could be really good or it could be really bad. But this is Blake Allen. He's in our group. Says, let's say next year I'll have my dog ready to hunt. I would love to take her on a guided hunt, but I want to leave my gun in the truck and just work her. Is that something guides allow? I would be willing to pay the same price as everyone else. I just want to get her some quality work. And then he goes on to say, I know we have some guides in the group, so he wanted to get answers for that.
Yep.
So, how do you feel about that overall? And like, he would 100% concentration on the dog, assuming there's no breaking, everything else. He feels that his dog is ready to go. How do you feel about that from what we have seen or heard from guides? And then what if you were a paying client and a guy showed up with just his dog but no gun to have her retrieve?
So, there's a couple layers to this, right?
Yeah.
I would expect most guides to not be into that idea, simply because they are taking all the risk by allowing that to happen, by allowing someone to bring their dog to the blind. If it's just him, now I guess it could be different, right? So if he's going to go with like a group of 5 or 6 guys and they're going to fill a blind completely and they're all on board with him bringing the dog, maybe that's acceptable. But if he's going by himself or with one other person, where he's likely going to share a blind with other clients that are in camp, the guide is taking a huge risk by allowing that to go on, because he doesn't know for fact how that dog behaves, right? And if that dog, if he retrieves flawlessly and all of this kind of stuff, that's all fine and good. But the first time that dog does something that costs another hunter an opportunity, now the guide's got a problem, because there's something that's not within his control anymore that is impacting other clients. So I think that, and all that goes into guiding and putting people on successful hunts day in and day out, that feels like enough stress to me that they would be pretty adverse to introducing any additional opportunities for stress if they can avoid them. So I could see that being a no for most guides. As a hunter in the blind, I really don't know how I would feel about that, but I would lean towards not being a fan of it for the same reasons that a guide wouldn't be a fan of it, right? Like, I'm paying to hunt with that guide, and I'm trusting him to run this hunt flawlessly or to the best of his ability. And by him allowing other unknown variables to be introduced, it could be just easily avoided. If the dog does a great job and it's no different to me, it's all good. But if the dog starts breaking, or better yet, no, I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm a guide, I just changed my mind. It's 100% no, and here's why. Here's why. 100%. If that dog gets shot by another hunter, I don't want any liability in any of that. right?
Oh,
If it's my
good point.
dog, that's one thing, but I don't want to be responsible for the safety of your dog when he's out in a spread or whatever. So for that reason, as a guide, I'm a hard out on that. I don't know why that just came to my mind right now, but that's for me where I'd draw the line. If everybody in the blind has no guns and whatever, okay. But like if people are going to potentially shoot over your dog or something like that, I wouldn't want anything to do with that.
Your answer was very Shark Tankish. And for that reason alone, I'm out.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, I think that is a huge right. I mean, because then it becomes the blaming game. Well, you sent the dog, or you do. You know what I mean? Like, why would a guide want to introduce that? I mean, if you just want to work your dog, I'd say, you know, put birds in the freezer and or whatever from hunts in the past, and take them out to the pond and simulate it or whatever, or go with a buddy at home where it's just you and your buddy. You know what I mean? And start with one. I don't know. I don't know enough about the dog to truly know what like getting the dog work entails and what the goal is of that. But yeah, I think the liability risk is probably pretty high there.
I like your answers. I mean, I know that some guides do let people bring dogs. Here are my thoughts on it, and I'll start with the two unknowns that would worry me. One being, we've been on hunts where dogs that hunt with each other 90 to 120 days to 150 days a year sometimes get in the field and just do not like each other, right? And they'll start getting in a little scuffle, blah, blah, blah. Like if you have a female dog and you book that hunt and she's in heat and that guide has his male dog, like that right there is going to mess up the hunt. Mm-hmm. Right there. Like the male dog is not going to listen. He's worried about one thing, mm-hmm. and that's that female dog that just got there. Two, no one knows how much you've been training that dog, and if you're someone that is you might train alone, he might train in small areas, and say that you go out to a place like Kansas or Oklahoma where these fields go on and on forever. Your dog might be great at 40-yard retrieves, but when you have dogs that you're trying to send out 200, 300, 400 yards, and they're just out of their element, right? They're not used to that. And especially with the flights out there, you can have more birds coming in. If that dog doesn't recall, then you, like you said, you just cost your paying clients an opportunity at birds that mm-hmm. you're trying to, you're putting them on.
Yep.
On the flip side of it, I can see why he would want to do that. Maybe where he's from doesn't have the birds, or he doesn't have a hunting buddy that he can go out with and get that work and the live calling and the tons of birds coming in and all that. And I can see just the passion for training your dog, the love for your dog, and wanting them to get that experience. I mean, I would love to take Kimber out. She's 10 and a half. I'd love to take her out to Kansas and be like, hey man, can she just sit here? She's, it is what it is. She's old, and I want her to see tons of lessers coming in. I think it'd just be a cool experience. But on the flip side, I know that, the shoot and start, she's probably going to break, and then it comes down to the whole liability thing, like you said. So there's a lot, when you make the positive to negative list, there's a lot more on the negative list for the guides and possibly other people hunting there to be worried about.
And that's the hard part to digest about this, because we're talking about an activity that we're passionate about and that we love and that we want to share with our friends and our hunting dogs and our retrievers, and there's nostalgia to all of that. But to that guide, while all of that stuff is true to him, it's his business and livelihood first and foremost. So like he has to separate that piece of it in every decision that he makes, right? I mean, it's business first and foremost. It's a business that you happen to, love to do or whatever. But like, again, it is business and it has to make sense. So I think that as an outfitter, it'd be a hard no for me.
Yeah, and there are, I mean, guides will, they'll have fully guided hunts and they'll have self-guided hunts. So what they can do is they'll go and scout. They'll get
Yep.
the
Yeah,
permission on the
definitely.
field,
Hmm.
and you have the option to go out and set the spread and do the entire hunt by yourself or with a couple buddies or with some people in the same boat. So if you have your dog in that camp and you talk to them and be like, "Hey fellas, I'd like to take my dog out. I'm not going to shoot. I guarantee she won't break." And I'll be holding on if she needs held onto, or 100% of my attention is on her. I really don't expect to ruin the hunt. If anything goes wrong, I'll put her in a truck, like 100%. So, I mean, there's ways to do it and get that experience. But if you're on a fully guided hunt with other people, other paying clients paying that much money, um, just don't be upset if the guide says sorry, not sorry, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, good combo. I like that one.
What's next?
All right. This is from Paul Bishop.
Bishop
And
Nelson, nice to see ya.
$1.25 pa. This is kind of a funny one, but it goes, I don't know. It's just a funny one. It was he needed help settling an argument, so I thought I'd bring it up. Do socks go over or under your base layers?
Yeah, I did see this one. Oh man. I feel like I've kind of done both at times, maybe. But I think in general, I am a socks over the base layer guy.
Socks over the base layer.
Mm-hmm. What are you?
I think it kind of depends where I'm at. If it is a
Such a tweener answer. I mean, what is that? What is
it is.
that?
It is. Well, it's okay. So let me explain. If it's a day where I'm just wearing my heavyweight merinos or something like that, I will go merinos and socks over those, and then I'll slide those in my boots, and then my outer layer will go over the boots. If I'm wearing waders, then my gradients have the shoestring or the foot string goes under your foot, right?
Right.
So it really doesn't matter because those are down. So I will do socks and then pull my base layers up over my socks, and then the gradients, and everything slides in and out like it should into the waders. So, kind of. It is a tweener
I don't
answer.
think there's a wrong answer there.
No, I don't think it matters what.
No.
I mean, by any performance range, right?
Yeah, I think I just end up with socks over top because I usually put on the base layers first, and then instead of pull up my leg, pull them up and then put my sock on and pull them back down, I just throw it over top. It's all good.
It's all good.
Yeah, just go full
All right.
send.
All right, here we go. Black Friday is coming up. Are you eyeing up anything for sale?
Oh man, so my wife's car just broke down, so we had to buy a new one. So unfortunately, I'm not eyeing up anything. But let's pretend that didn't happen. Man, I mean, I have I have the itch to buy a new bow, which I've told you a couple times. I know that's not waterfowl related, but I do have that itch. But along the same vein, I kind of got the itch to buy a new shotgun too. Haven't bought a gun in a while. So those are things that I'd have my eye on. But I mean, I'm sort of to the point where you can always use more decoys, right? And all that kind of stuff. I'm just not sure I have a huge hole in like my coverage with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely reached the point of saturation on some things. And there's definitely some Sitka pieces that I like that I would be open to adding to my portfolio, but they're not necessities, right? I mean, I've got a full system, so it's not like I need these pieces. They're just nice. I think they'd be nice to have. Honestly, the biggest thing that if I had a hole in my coverage that I would want to add, it would be a pair of boots, I would think. And it would be more of like a newer pair of rubber style boots, lacrosse or muck or something in that sort of family is probably what I'd be looking at right now. What about you?
Like I don't know.
And a 737 Chief. Put that in there too.
Yeah, the Chief would be good. I don't know, man. I feel pretty content in the waterfowl lineup right now. I think a shotgun, if the right A400 came up, I think I would do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, me too.
so that is a good segue into the next question.
Okay.
Camo or black shotgun? And we've covered this. We've covered it before, but quick rundown on thoughts. Because I will tell you what. I know you're going to say you would never have a black one. That A300. So my 3901. I mean, you could take it out on a humid day and walk around with it, put it back in the case, and it would be rusty. Like, it just rusted all the time. That A300 refuses to rust.
Yeah, but it's not. I don't know. I think the black weather's a little worse. It may not be rusty, but it just doesn't. I don't know.
Not your style.
The answer is I own black shotguns. I'm not going to buy any more. I mean, I think black shotguns are for door kickers. I like I like camo. I like camo guns with like that material, like, you know, that liner on them. I'm not sure what I'm trying to call it, but just like that extra layer of protection. I'm a camo gun from here on out. And honestly, like, it's either going to be a camo gun that I'm going to beat the tar out of in the field, or it's going to be a woodstock, you know, style, more traditional gun that's going to be a safe queen.
Nice. I like that. Maybe one of the last ones. But I see this over and over and over again. What would you guys recommend someone get as their first piece of Sitka gear?
Yeah. This is tough because I remember being in this position, and it was just kind of like, you know, they sell it as a system. So I was concerned, well, if I get a Hudson jacket, like, or an outer layer, am I going to have the right stuff to be warm underneath? Like, am I going to just be cold because of this jacket, whatever? So my first pieces were a Hudson jacket and I think a Dakota vest. I think were the first pieces I had. Mm-hmm. If I was to do it again, I think. So it truly depends. The answer is it depends. It depends on what you have now. Like, if you've got decent, you know, if you've got merino layer base for because you like to ski, or, you know, you're a ice fisherman or whatever the heck you do, if you've got that already, then I wouldn't buy Sitka's version of it. I would do something different. Some of my favorite pieces are the Dakota vest. I love the vests for some reason. I wear it almost every hunt. I really like the heavyweight hoodie. I think that's a very, very solid piece. Huge fan of the Hudson jacket as well. And the bibs have been a game changer for me because, as we already talked a little bit earlier, I went from Carhartt to these bibs, and it checks all the boxes that the Carhartts do, but it gives you the moisture control that you need. So, depending on the style of hunts you do, you know, if you don't hunt fields, I wouldn't recommend you go bibs. But I mean, over the course of years, I've worn the Traverse top a ton. I've worn the Dakota vest a ton. And the heavyweight hoodie are some of my favorite pieces. And then I think the Hudson jacket should be a staple in most people's lineup.
Yeah, especially with the flex, like how it flexes now. Right. That was a very big improvement. But I'm almost the Kelvin Light is one of my favorites now. Kelvin Light hoodie.
I do like that jacket. I mean, it's a fantastic piece. I have a hard time recommending that to someone as their first piece, because it's not going to have that durability as an outer layer. So, if you throw that on with nothing out over top of it, you are very likely to snag that on a like it's not going to stand up to a lot of rigor in the field. And without like a Dakota vest or a Dakota or a Delta jacket, sorry, something to go over top of it for some folks,
Yep.
and depending on their hunting situation, it might not be the right piece for you. But it is a very, very good piece, no question. One of my favorites.
Yep.
And it's solid, so you could wear it as casual. That was one thing I looked at too. I was really into the solid stuff when it came out, and wanted to get that because I could get more bang for my buck. Right, I could wear it out in town, and kind of. I wanted something that I could wear in the field and casually for other occasions.
Dude, I will tell you what I have, and I don't know the name of it, but I have one of their work shirts. It's like a lined button down.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, man, I have ran that thing cutting wood, like hauling wood, and there isn't, I mean, I could wash it and there's not a scratch on that freaking shirt. I wear it all the time.
They
Loading
always
wood.
kind of remind me of like those like Woolrich type shirts where it's like
Yeah.
super rugged indoor outdoor wear, almost like a jacket, but
Yep.
still
And
works like at the dinner table.
Yeah,
whatever.
it's unreal. I do love that piece, and it's the pockets in it just seem to be like perfect for whatever you need. It's weird, but one of my favorites.
They're
Anyway,
perfect. It's weird.
it is. It's just like not something that you should get excited about, but
Anyone that's met you knows that you get excited about Sitka gear. That's
and
well
and apparently pockets. Anyway.
pretty neat.
All right. I think this is my last one.
All right.
Do you ever battle eagles taking your down birds?
No. I've watched eagles chase live birds before, live ducks, but I've never had them snatch up.
I've never either. This is from Chris Moulton. Do you guys battle eagles taking your down birds? Did my first dedicated diver hunt today, and we lost 2 to eagles swooping in. I could not have beat them there if I tried. I started the motor in under 30 seconds from shooting, and they were already on it. So that's pretty intense. Those puppies know that there's a free meal for sure. When Ben was up in Saskatchewan, there was an eagle came down and hit one of his dive bombs.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe they're getting accustomed to it.
Hey, I mean, yeah.
Free meal.
I mean, if they want it, they're gonna get it, no doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt.
I remember Casey in Eastern Shore said that there would be snow geese flying over, and the eagles would stay really high above them, and then just dive bomb them and hit them, and they would just like fall out of the air, and then they would go down and eat them.
Mm-hmm.
You remember? Yeah. But no, I've never. I mean, they'll fly around, but never taken down birds. None of mine, anyways.
Mm-hmm. And you guys got a bunch of eagles up there too.
Yeah, we do have a lot of eagles.
Yeah, not an issue that I struggle with here. That's for sure.
No. Going through, let me make sure that was all I had. I thought that dog talk was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, they're tough questions, right? And it's like, everybody's perspective and position on things is different, and it's really, you hate to say it depends, right? But it seems like it always depends. Mm-hmm. There's very little just it's like staunchly black and white. There's always elements of gray on certain things.
And there's some guides that they got their deposit, they got their money, they don't care that much about a return client. But then there's guides that would not let that happen because they're given the best experience and they don't want anything negative to happen. So like you said, it depends who you go with. And I don't know. I think from being on a few guided hunts now, I think we nailed it down pretty good.
Yeah. I feel good. But it's just effort.
Yeah, it was good. It was good conversation, and I'm glad that he brought that up instead of saying something like, I contacted this guide and this is what I wanted to do, and they told me no, and I think it's a bunch of crap. You know what I mean? Like, I think it was just good to go that route and get some different answers on it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, oh man,
Well, what else you got?
nothing, man. My birthday's on Black Friday, so that's not cool at all.
I mean,
I got a lot of things coming up. New job,
yeah,
all kinds of fun stuff.
yeah. Well, I mean, this is a busy time of year. You know, it's like
Yeah.
Thanksgiving's next week, and before you know it, it'll be Christmas and New Year's, and then, I mean, you know, it's like the years just fly by, right? And time just goes quicker and quicker, and before we know it, season's gonna be over, and we're gonna be like, what the heck? It just started like yesterday.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: do you guys do Elf on the Shelf?
Yes.
Sadie is absolutely like terrified of Elf on the Shelf. She asked us to talk to Santa and see if he could do something different because she doesn't want the elf back in the house.
And my kid loves it.
Really?
Oh yeah. He named him. What the heck is that thing's name? I forget. I want to say it's like Clyde or something, but I forget. But yeah, we sit there and struggle like every freaking parent on like how we can make it cool and fun. There's some days I just punt and I just put it somewhere. It's like, oh, he's in there today. But you know, I try to do like some hunting themes ones. Like I've done it where he's got like my duck call lanyard and he's got like my call in his hands and stuff. Yeah, try to mix it up with some different themes get some outdoor stuff in there. But yeah, my kid loves it.
Yeah.
He's into it, and the elf lives in my sock drawer in the off season.
Yep. Well, that's the thing is. The thing is, she told us so halfway through last year. She's like, I really don't want him in the house anymore. He scares me. So I was like, fine. I said, I'll take him and I'll have Santa pick him up at work or whatever. So I put him in my glove box. Well, then Aaron was getting something.
She watched you handle it.
Yeah, well, they don't know the rules.
Oh,
they don't.
You didn't read like the full book and everything, and give them like the whole readout.
No,
oh.
No, because we started early. We got it when they were little. They didn't. I mean, they couldn't even sit there and pay attention to the whole book. Anyway, so I got rid of it. Yeah.
And let me grab him and throw him in the glove box.
So we're on.
Pick him up at work.
We're
normal. What the heck?
Well, I have Nebbles on speed dial. His contact is still Santa. His name is Santa in my phone because I'll call Santa and he plays a really good part. But anyway, so we're on like summer vacation and Aaron opens a glove box and old buddy falls out and totally freaks Sadie out while we're on vacation. But yeah, so anyway, I think he's in the sock drawer now or something.
Boy. Did you get your new tires yet?
No, I haven't had time.
Well, you better get them on there before it gets all wintry up there.
I know it's not. We're not supposed to get any snow for a while, but coming up, I'll get them on there.
Yeah. All right, what else you got? You got anything you want to knock out this week before we roll?
No, man, it's late. I'm gonna go shoot 2 ducks in the morning and call it a day.
Pretty neat. Yeah, I planned on hunting yesterday or tomorrow morning, but my wife got sick. So, yeah, I'll be corralling kids in the morning instead. Pretty unfortunate.
No, not neat.
No, in retrospect, it's not very neat. But anyway. All right, man. Well, good talk. We love the listener questions. Send them in. The best way to not only get a response from us, but for us to see your questions, this is my opinion, Dan, send them to us through the Facebook group or a Facebook message to our HB page. For me, the email traffic just gets to be a bit much between, being on the board of directors for my son's little league and all the other crap. I get like 100 emails in there and So if you send it to that, Dan might respond to you. It's highly unlikely that I'll respond to you via email.
Yeah. Or Instagram.
Yeah. Instagram's great too. Instagram's perfect. Yeah. Just something that's like, keeps it organized for us and can, that helpful. But if email's what you got, then that's what you got. So we'll work with that the best we can. So anyway, all right, good talk this week. Also this week, thank you to Quack Rack, Gunner Kennels, Dunn Sporting Goods, 737 Duck and Goose Calls, Duck Camp, and Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy, the world's most comprehensive online gun dog training resource. They've got over 160 instructional videos and includes everything you need to take your 7-week-old puppy to a finished gun dog. Visit cornerstonegundogacademy.com to sign up for the free preview module and begin your training journey today. Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy, the most advanced gun dog training resource on the web. That does it for episode 161. Hopefully you guys enjoyed us getting back into the mailbag and talking some listener questions. If you're new to the show, head over to iTunes. You can check out all of our past episodes over there. You can also leave us a 5-star rating and review while you're there. It'll help like-minded hunters just like you find our show. That's going to do it for this week. Until next week, for Dan, I'm Josh. Take care.